Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Speaking Spurs with me, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham. On what I have to say is a very disappointing day for us as a club. So close to getting Eberiche Eze through the door, just for it all to fall apart at the last minute. Typical Spurs. This kind of reminds me of Willian to Chelsea, Luis Diaz to Liverpool, and many more along the way. Um, Look, at the end of the day, it is what it is, and we have to move on from this. But let's just have a little bit of a chat around it. I didn't do a video last night purely because emotions were running a bit high. I was quite angry to start with. And it's very important in these situations to do a bit of research before you come out and just say, oh, Daniel Levy this, the club that. What could we have done better? What should we have done? We should have put more money down. Because there are a lot of the reports that we've been seeing. Lots of people have been saying more money would have got this done quicker, or activating the release clause and blah, blah, blah. Yes, we've known for a while James Maddison's going to be injured. We've also known that Kulusevski has his injury. So we knew we were in for a number 10. We have been looking at several options over the transfer window. Eze was always a big target of ours, but it's no secret that Arsenal also wanted him and just didn't go in. Difference is when it came to it, Kai Havertz picked up an injury. They were aware that we'd had our bid verbally accepted and that Eze had verbally agreed to come to us. So they swooped. They came in with the exact same package that we offered. Crystal Palace obviously accepted, no reason not to. And Eze, lifelong Arsenal fan, former academy player that left their club at 13 years old, wants to go back and prove that he's got the stuff to make it at Arsenal. And look, it pains me to say it, but of the two clubs, they are further ahead right now. Obviously, we've got the Europa League trophy, but in terms of league positioning, they're the club that, for a neutral player, is the more attractive option to go to. Now, from an Eze standpoint, I would say that if he was to have come to Spurs, he would have been guaranteed more game time. Even when the other players were back, and I love Kulusevski to bits, I still think Eze would have had a lot of minutes. He's also able to play anywhere across the number 10, the right and the left, so there definitely would have been game time for him regardless. I do think at Arsenal it means he'll start now, but he's going to have some competition because if he plays 10, he's fighting against Odegaard, who agreeably hasn't been the best over the last 18 months, I would say. But no doubt he'll get back to form at some point. He's also the captain, so I don't really see him as a left-sided player, if I'm honest. I know he's better than Martinelli, but if I was him, I'd have come to Spurs purely for the fact that you're going to play more and you're not going to have to play in a position that's your least preferred. I feel like at Arsenal he might be forced to play in a position that is not his preferred position. So it is what it is. But let's talk about what we could have done differently. Everybody says that if you go in with the release clause, then we'd have got him. And this is the issue. The release clause was, 68 million or whatever. Had we have gone in with that, we'd have got our man earlier. I don't think that's necessarily the case. The way clubs operate, Eze and his agent and his team around him would have known that Arsenal were very much looking at him. So just because you hit the release clause doesn't mean the player's going to come. I think what had happened, and the reason why Eze had agreed to come to Spurs in the end, is because we're quite late in the window now. We're in a World Cup year. So towards the end of the window, it made sense for him. Tottenham came in, let's go to Tottenham, get some good game time in a club that's playing Champions League football. So I'll get even more football this season at a club that's going to be pushing to do things, because let's face it, we should be finishing higher than the 17th that we did last season. So I think from that aspect, it made sense for him. But, the second Arsenal came in, it was always going to change. And I do wonder, had we have gone in with the release clause at the time and it had been accepted, there's every chance that Arsenal would have come in anyway. So it is a case of we've been used by Crystal Palace. We've been used by Arsenal without having to put any of their resources into it to find out what would happen to get the deal over the line. There have obviously been reports that Arsenal essentially offered the same money as us, but they offered a better package where they were paying more of the fee up front. So there's a lot of criticism on Daniel Levy today, saying that because he was penny pinching, that's what's cost us the deal ultimately. But on reflection now, deep diving into it, looking at many reports, I don't think that is the case. I am frustrated though. There are some frustrations that have got to go towards Daniel Levy and the board, because the fact is we knew about the injury to Maddison and Kulusevski, and we spent a lot of time trying to get Morgan Gibbs-White through the door for that not to happen. We've now wasted a further 2 weeks trying to get Eze in the door, and that hasn't happened. I don't see why we couldn't have been working on deals for multiple players, and you can always pull out of a deal. There's no reason why you can't get some way down the line and pull out. It happens all the time. Eze pulled out of our deal. So where do we go from here? If you want to look at the players that are currently available, there's still some good players out there to be had, although they're all very different in the terms that Eze, I wouldn't call it a ridiculous price by any stretch of the imagination. I would say it was a fair price for a player of his quality. He's at a decent age as well. So let's talk about 5 players we could possibly go for. Could we punish Crystal Palace? Bilal El Khanous is a player that we were linked with earlier in the transfer window of Leicester. Palace are also looking at him. Now the thing is, they're going to ramp up their search for a replacement now Eze has gone through the door. Part of the reason why I think they accepted our offer for Eze in the end is because they were in talks for El Khanous and they'd started progressing. So it'd be a massive blow for them after them wasting our time. So, we think it'd probably be about 30 million overall to bring in El Khanous from Leicester. He'd be a good fit for the system. He's only 21 years old, so again, it's another one of those youngsters. Is he ready for now? Is he one for the future? I would argue that after having a season in the Premier League with Leicester, I thought he was one of their shining stars throughout. I think he would be a good fit. I would like somebody more experienced, somebody a bit older. However, on this list of people that I'm about to read out, he is one of the ones with Premier League experience. I do think he'd be a good fit. And obviously, because he's coming from the Championship now, it's a bit cheaper to get the deal done. I think the prospect of having Champions League football would definitely see him want to come to us over Crystal Palace. Next one, Morgan Rodgers. This would be a statement signing at the end of the day. He's going to cost too much, though. This is the problem. Eze was ready to go. We know he was going to fit the system. He can play multiple positions. With Morgan Rodgers, he's somebody that a lot of clubs would love to take from Aston Villa, but they're not going to let him go on the cheap. It's somewhere between 85 and 100 million they're going to want for him. The good thing about Rodgers is, like Eze, he can play as a number 10 or on the left. He chipped in last season with 14 goals and 16 assists in 54 games in all competitions, which gave him his England debut in November. So he's a good player. Again, he's still not old himself. He's only 23 years old and was crowned PFA Young Player of the Year following the 24-25 campaign. He was a Manchester City Academy graduate. I can't see this one happening though. I don't think Aston Villa are going to want to lose him. He's pivotal to them. They've lost some players themselves, so that's why they're able to ask for so much money. Next player we're going to talk about is another player that's young. He's also now in the Championship, and that is Tyler Dibbling. We could rekindle our interest. He was obviously somebody we were looking at last season. It never happened. He had an impressive start to the Premier League last season. He did wane over the course of the season, I thought, and he's heavily tipped to depart the St Mary's this summer, obviously, because how can a player of his calibre, at his age, sit in the Championship? He needs to be back in the Premier League. Everton are also in the race to snap him up. They've had bids rejected. They keep going back in for him. They're not giving up on him. 2 bids they've had rejected already. But Southampton are holding firm of their 50 million valuation. And I think that's the stumbling block for us. 50 million for a 19-year-old. Is he going to continue to develop? Is he going to get enough game time? And often we see with these youngsters, it's the game time that's the key factor. The thing is with an Eze, with a Morgan Rogers, they're probably still going to play when Maddison's fit, when Kulusevski's fit. Tyler Dibbling, I think, then wouldn't. And then the problem is you're sat with another young player alongside Lucas Bergvall, Archie Gray, all these players, and Pat Matassar. They're all going to need game time to develop, and this is the issue with youngsters. Then you have to look at the prospect of sending them out on loan, but then you need to replace them. It's a very, very difficult way of doing business. The next player we'll talk about is, I can't pronounce his name, I'm going to murder it, Magnez Akliouche. I've probably got that completely wrong, from Monaco. 23 years old, so again, same age as Jacob Ramsey, still considered a youngster. The issue that we've got here is he'd be coming from Ligue 1 in France, where it's always an unknown. We haven't got a good track record of bringing players over from France, have we? Stambouli, Clinton and G. Who was the other guy that played out on the left wing? Can't remember his name. But that just goes to tell you everything you need to know. The guys that we've signed from the French league traditionally haven't done very well from us. It's a big step up. But anyway, he was a member of France's Olympic squad that got the silver medal last year. He also had his breakthrough season in the Monaco team in the 21-22 season. Don't get me wrong, he's an exciting player. He's had a good career to date. He chipped in with 7 goals and 12 assists from his 43 appearances for Monaco, which gave them a finish of 3rd in the table. Capable of playing in the middle of the pitch or on the right wing, so again, he's another adaptable player. Bayer Leverkusen are also in for him. I do think this is one where we could see the fee rise quite a bit, but Monaco don't want to lose him. He's a very good player. And then the last one we will talk about, and this is probably the most unrealistic one, but the one I would like to see through the door, is Xavi Simons from RB Leipzig. Look, it's no secret, there's many, many clubs after him. He's keen on heading out the door this summer. Leipzig, they're going to want decent money for him, of course. He's only 22 years old, but it feels like he's been around forever, doesn't it? He broke through very young. And his career's kind of been a bit up and down, but I would love to see him through the door. I think he's got himself some good experience now, and he's definitely pushing on. But he's only been at Leipzig for 7 months after he made his loan stay from Paris Saint-Germain permanent. But yeah, they're looking for about 60 million. Chelsea have opened talks to sign him. They've agreed personal terms with him. It's just about getting that deal with RB Leipzig. So I think this is going to be the most difficult one to get through the door. However, I do think it's still worth it anyway. We should push on and try and get him. But yeah, as I said, Chelsea are really in for him, and there's been no agreement yet. He's a very versatile player though. Very attractive on the eye in the way he plays. But yeah, that's it. They're really the only players that I can see us looking at as realistic options. Something that has come out in the last hour or so, nothing overly reliable has happened yet. Obviously, the Savinho deal has kind of gone quiet because there's somebody, we believe, in the Man City board blocking it, or a couple of them blocking it. And this is the problem when you've got a board. They have to be in agreement for it to happen. It's not a case of the manager says it's okay and the CEO says it's okay and that's it. You have a board, they all make the decisions together. So there's a couple of them blocking it, at least. They see him as somebody that has a massive, massive future. A lot of them think he's got a higher ceiling than Rodrygo. And that's the player we're about to talk about. Because although Tottenham are believed to now be really pushing to get Savinho over the line to kind of make up for the balls up of the Eze deal, even though they play different positions, it's come out in the last hour that Tottenham are really pushing to get Rodrygo, and there's talks of a loan deal. It'll be around 200 grand a week, we believe. But there's no talks yet whether there'll be an option or an obligation to buy. Now, the nature of this is that Rodrygo feels he's not getting enough minutes, and the most important thing that we're going to keep referring to towards the back end of this transfer window is it is a World Cup year. These players are going to want to guarantee themselves as many minutes as possible in decent teams, might I add, to give themselves the best chance of playing in the World Cup. apologies there, just had to pause it because I heard somebody open a door, just making sure to see if it was anything important, but it wasn't. So, yeah, as I said, it's a World Cup year, but these players are going to want to make sure that they're playing at a decent level for a decent club where they're going to get lots of minutes. So, although Manchester City are supposedly in for Rodrygo, I think a couple of other clubs, maybe even Liverpool, have been linked with him. I don't think Liverpool actually need him. And if Savinho stays at Manchester City, then they don't need Rodrygo either. The question is, will Rodrygo be willing to come to Spurs? I think based on our league position last year, it makes it a no for him. The Champions League football will obviously be a tempter. He will be getting a lot of minutes if he comes to Spurs. So if he watched the game against PSG and somebody shows him the game against Burnley, then you're looking at a different kind of Spurs. So it's going to take some convincing, I think, not just from the club, but I think Thomas Frank would have to talk to him as well to really sell him the project. So we'll see how that one develops. I think it's going to be a difficult one to get over the line. But with the embarrassment of the Eze deal, don't be surprised if we actually go all out. And the fact that it'll only be a loan deal as well saves us money in the long run, and we know that's something that Daniel Levy likes to do. So yeah, it's been a bit awful. I think we're all a bit over it now. We're sick and tired of being linked with players for them to go. As I mentioned earlier, there was the Eze deal, the Willian, the Luis Diaz, and then there was others like Sadio Mane as well. It's crazy. I'm just hoping that Daniel Levy can pull off a masterstroke and repeat a sensational player in from Real Madrid in Rodrygo. It'll be very reminiscent of the time that we actually managed to get Rafael van der Vaart in from Real Madrid. A nice little shock one, a present for Harry Redknapp that he wasn't expecting. So, yeah, watch this space. It's going to be an interesting 10 or so days, but we desperately need somebody in. We need them now. We're going into the game against Manchester City, who are looking good, by the way. They are looking very good. A different animal to last season. They've done a lot of their business early. They don't really need any more players in. They could do with a couple of players coming back from injury, but it's going to be a very different test to what it normally is. We haven't got Super Sonny, who seemed to love playing against Manchester City. We haven't got him in the squad, so let's hope for a little bit more magic from Richarlison. And yeah, watch this space. We'll talk soon. So thanks for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed it. I am Kieran from Speaking Spurs. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. And until next time, come on you Spurs.